What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris and this is 4K Motoring. What we're going to do today is make a small modification to the Nissan Titan XD. I say small, but it's probably going to be pretty time consuming. What I ended up getting was a set of LED rock lights. These are off of Amazon. They're not that expensive. They seem to have a pretty decent build quality, so I wanted to get a set and see if I can install them on this Nissan Titan XD. Now, for those of you that have been following along, you know this truck is not lifted. I do eventually plan on getting the Icon lift kit for it, but as of right now, this is just the factory height Nissan Titan XD, so it's got the taller heavy-duty frame, so it looks a little bit taller than the standard Titan. We're going to go ahead and try and install some of these in the wheel wells to see what we can do to just kind of increase the overall awareness around the truck, especially at night, and go along with our off-road lights we have on the top of the truck. So let's see how difficult this really is. So what I got here in this package, this is again from Amazon. There is the label. I'll post a link in the description down below in case you guys are interested in finding a set of these. What comes in it is a set of 8 of these LED bulbs. Now this is in a metal housing. This is supposed to be a pretty wide angle LED unit here. It does have metal backing. It looks like it's pretty well sealed in there. If I peel this off, looks pretty well sealed for water resistance. It does come with the wires spliced. It comes with some mounting hardware. This is some, looks like pretty fine threaded small bolts, nuts and bolts here together. And it has a bunch of these brackets that this will then fit into. Now these brackets seem to have a pretty decent curvature to them, so I'm guessing this is for roll bar mounting or something like that, tube bumper mounting. We probably won't be using these on our Titan, but we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get a couple of these in at least the wheel wells, see if that kind of brightens things up. One thing worth noting is in the box, there is no switch or really wiring hardware. The extent of the wiring hardware you get is this right here. So you're gonna have to come up with your own switch and wiring basically to get it through the vehicle so you can make it fit your exact application, which is pretty cool, but you still have to do that yourself. This is not a standalone kit. You cannot wire this up specifically by itself with nothing else. Keep that in mind. Now, my truck obviously doesn't have tube bumpers or steps or anything like that I'll be mounting to. So I'm not going to be using probably the included hardware that really requires you to drill through stuff and have access to both sides. What I'm likely going to use is just a set of self-tapping screws, sheet metal screws. That should make this installation pretty easy. Again, these are cheap Amazon lights. It should screw into these plastic wheel liners and bottom of bumper kind of pretty easily and get us a pretty quick mounting. So we've got the first 2 installed. This is probably the longest period that it's going to take to do all of them because we had to install a switch in the cab and get some of the wiring done from the battery, that whole power source. So we've done that, and now we've got the power running at least to the front 2 just to see how they look, what beam pattern we have, and to start playing out where we want to put the rest. Let's go ahead and check out how they look. I know it's pretty dark out here, but we can see there's our first one, mounted right under the bumper. And similarly on this side, we're going to go under the truck, and we probably don't have any light, but we can kind of see it mounted right there. Our switch is going to be right here in the cab. I know it's kind of dark. We've wired it up right next to the cargo switch, right there. We're going to check out how it looks. And we have light. So like I said, this is just the first 2. And we can see roughly the light output it gives us. That allows us from in the cab to see what's going on around our wheels and around the truck. So I know rock lights have kind of become a trend for those that have modified suspension, really just as a means of showing off their suspension, their wheels, all the money they've spent on the riding gear that they don't actually take off-roading. The purpose of rock lights, though, is to really add to the driver's visibility, to make sure you're not going to hit anything that's going to damage the vehicle, i.e. rocks, debris, something like that, to be able to give you actually road-facing light and show you where the tires are going and what's around the vehicle so you don't damage anything or run anything over. With that in mind, I don't know if we're really going to go up into the wheel wells of this truck. Again, eventually I plan on doing the Icon 3-inch lift, but even 3 inches is not going to give us a whole lot on this truck to really look at. So instead, it's going to be better served actually making sure that the beam pattern is on the ground, that we are getting light on the ground so we can see what's going on around the truck. With that in mind, we're going to come up with a plan for the remaining 6 lights. Again, this kit came with 8 different lights. It was not very expensive. That's why we had to find our own switch and do our own wiring for it. But we're getting there. We'll hopefully get this thing fixed up in the next day or so, and we'll see the finished product. And we're back. It's been about 24 hours since we installed the front lights. Obviously the nighttime has snuck in on us. It is now getting into mid-October here in North Carolina. It is getting dark earlier. We've gone ahead during the morning hours today and finished up our installation of the 8 lights, and we can see behind us how that's turned out. Again, my goal is really just to add lighting in front of and behind each tire, and you can see pretty well that's been accomplished. Now, just for placement, I'll show you where I put each one of them. They've all been wired to the common switch in the dash, starting from the front left, working its way all the way around the truck in a clockwise fashion. Here's how they're wired. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this kit. It was pretty inexpensive from Amazon and gives a good deal of light on the ground. Obviously, you can put them in different places. If you're trying to highlight different things or use them as underglow, show off frame components, something like that, you can put them more in the wheel wells. But this has given us a pretty good front to back coverage and wheel obstacle avoidance coverage that I think is needed on these trucks. As always, thanks for watching 4K Motoring. I'm Chris. We'll see you next time.